Welcome in to today's Daily Sports Take. I hope everybody out there is staying safe and having a great day. If you've missed any of my previous Daily Sports Takes, be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on any video that you watch. So I have to be honest, today I was sort of struggling to find a sports topic. There's really not a whole lot going on. But I decided that I would want to stick with football, and so today I want to talk about 3 teams that I think in the 2020 NFL season could miss the playoffs that made the playoffs in 2019. Now, obviously the first thing is we have to have a playoff, or we have to have an NFL season, and we're not sure if we're going to have that just yet. But if we do have an NFL season in 2020, here are the 3 teams that I think could miss the playoffs this year. So starting first with the Philadelphia Eagles, who won the NFC East in 2019. Now, a lot of people like to say the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the top rosters in football. I personally have never really bought into that. I don't think Carson Wentz is an elite quarterback. I think he is a franchise quarterback, but he's not able to really stay durable, and I think that he doesn't really come off as special as far as being able to make everybody around him better. Now, with everybody not being made better around him, I also think the wide receiver core is lacking. Now, they might address that in the draft, but I still think they're going to have more work to do. If you're relying on Deshaun Jackson, who's up there in age to be your top receiver, there's an issue there. And so I think the Philadelphia Eagles need to spend more time addressing that. I also think that their defense is aging a little bit and kind of expensive, so I do think that they're going to start to deteriorate a little bit on defense, and with that inconsistent offense, that's not a recipe for success. So I do think the Philadelphia Eagles, who even their general manager has come out and said their offseason wasn't really in win-now mode, could be in some trouble and miss the playoffs in 2020, because I also think that the NFC East will be better in 2020, with the Dallas Cowboys potentially winning the division and the Giants and Redskins not being playoff caliber teams, but being better teams that can give the Eagles a little bit of trouble. Now, my second team may come as more of a surprise. I have the Green Bay Packers, who were 13-3 last year, missing the playoffs in 2020. Now, let me explain. So Aaron Rodgers is getting up there in age. I also think that him and Matt LaFleur don't really click together on offense. Last year they had to rely heavily on the run game. Aaron Jones led the NFL in rushing touchdowns, but Aaron Rodgers, outside of the first 2 possessions of each game where everything was scripted the week before, really struggled to create offense. Some of that is on him, some of that is on Matt LaFleur, the other parts are on the weapons around him. Very similar to Philadelphia, there's just not a ton of wide receiver talent in Green Bay outside of Davante Adams, who is definitely one of the best route runners in the NFL, but who over the last couple of years has been injured on and off. They lost some other targets like Geronimo Allison, and I do think that the Packers could struggle even more so on offense. And with the defense maybe not being as good in 2020 because they haven't spent the money to improve the defense. Yes, they've drafted a lot of players to improve their defense overall long term, but to have the numbers they had last year, you could see a little bit of a decline in 2020. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers were to miss the playoffs in 2020. I think the Minnesota Vikings could easily win that division. They were 10-6 last year. I also think the Lions and the Bears will both be better. The Bears, who, yes, got Nick Foles, who isn't great, have a quarterback competition, which means whichever quarterback is the starting quarterback earned that right and is going to be more competitive than he was the year before. So I think the Packers will miss the playoffs in 2020. And then finally, one team that really shouldn't come as a surprise after this tumultuous offseason is the Houston Texans. They've been a perennial playoff team over the last decade, but I think that era has ended in Houston. They never took advantage of it, and they have not been able to win any playoff games, just one. So I do think that Bill O'Brien, who traded away their best player, at least on offense, and DeAndre Hopkins, and Jadeveon Clowney the year before, and didn't get any first-round picks, is really putting his team at a disadvantage. Those were 2 guys in the locker room that everybody respected, but Bill O'Brien didn't like strong leaders, and so that's why he shipped them out. So that's really going to cause more drama with players like Deshaun Watson, who feels like he's a leader, but now has to feel like he can't really voice his opinions, and he's also has to feel that some of the weapons around him are now subpar. The offensive line hasn't gotten any better since last year, and now his wide receiver core relies on Will Fuller, who's often hurt, a couple tight ends, and a bunch of backup running backs by committee. So I think the Houston Texans, who have an aging defense as well that's also expensive, are really going to struggle in 2020. The Titans should be about as good as they were last year, and I think the Colts with Phillip Rivers could potentially win that division, so that would give the Texans more chances to miss out on the playoffs. So there you have it. There's 3 teams that I think could miss the playoffs in the 2020 NFL season if we do get football this year. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are there any teams that could also miss the playoffs? Because every year there's always 5 or 6 new teams in the playoffs. So of course some teams have to get booted. So let me know what you think there. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. With that, everybody, stay safe, do your part, stay inside, and have a great rest of your day.